All right, welcome back to another session of Evony with Genghis on server 68. So today we're going to do a special video, and it is going to be a little bit of an in-depth feature of Evony's greatest player, Sir Philip. So if we look here right now in the semifinals of Pride of God, this is Continent 3. So these are relatively new players. So I believe this player is less than a year old, and you can see him at the top here, 18.1 billion, and he is just growing at such a phenomenal pace. So I streamed his All Stars about 4 months ago, and he was 11.4 billion power at the time. So he has added about 6 or 7 billion in the past 3 or 4 months. Like this was May, this was late April, early May, and we're now almost mid-August. So Sir Philip, where does Sir Philip reside? Let's start with that. So first thing, I got him bookmarked here, and here he is. This is Sir Philip. And we can look at him today. He is 18.1 billion, and these are his battle stats. That's how often he rallies. This appears to be his one teammate. What does he look like? He's 2 billion, which is also very good for a 1-year-old server, or less than a year. And they're both K35, and looks like they actually have an alliance, right? So I guess that they both sit outside. They don't need the buffs, and they just sit outside there and rally for everybody and try and see. So they do have some other good players. 850 million power. Here's the K34. Wow, wouldn't it be fun being in this guy's alliance, eh? The stuff he could do for you. I'm sure Battlefield is just a guaranteed win all the time. I'd love to know how they do. So they are actually pretty far away from the throne. I wonder if there is anyone else, any other alliances. First, let's just look at, probably an easy way to do this is look at the actual throne. And Sir Philip is king. It does not look like Sir Philip is letting other people be king. And Prince is El the Great. Oh, that's his friend there, the 2 billion player. And Chan, is this also from, this is not from his alliance, and he's given this person Chancellor, and not many others have gotten anything. Icicles, we saw that person was from his server. That was the 850 million. So from what I've heard is that this is actually a pretty dead server, I guess. A lot of people have probably quit. Either you join Sir Philip, or you you're not going to have a good existence, right? So let's see. So here's another alliance, and I can actually see the members. So they're 1.8 billion, and these are decent sized guys. 271 million, 150 million, 250 million. Yeah, so these are actually decent sized players, but I'm sure they get gobbled up a lot by Sir Philip. Anyways, let's get into the actual details of Sir Philip. I'll just join a couple rallies while I'm here, if there are any available that I would like. And I have some photos, screenshots of Sir Philip. Some absolutely amazing things to see. So let's look at it. So this was Sir Philip 4 months ago. He was 11.5 billion. And you can see 350 million troops. He's now added another 7 billion. So let's see what else we have here from Sir Philip. Okay, so at the time, 4 months ago, this was Sir Philip's defensive buffs. Now, I don't know what he put on his Monarch gear, if this was his defense gear or not, but that is a very high siege attack of 1159. His mounted troop HP, 769 with 787 defense. His ranged troop, 900 attack, and his ground defense over 1,000, and HP 819 with 833 attack. So very solid defense. Not the best I've seen. I've seen some good stuff. I've seen there's a guy on my server, War, and he has very, very good defense. I can't recall his specific defensive stats, but I believe it was almost 1,200 archer attack, and then of course regular stuff for siege and ground defense and mounted troop HP and all the important stuff. So now what we have here is Sir Phillips subsidies. So this is the power in his subsidy. So he brings an extra 55 million power into the attack. He also brings in an extra 135,000 troops. So when your march size is restricted to 2.2 million, he almost brings 2.4 million, right? Or if he doesn't buff and he's at 1.5 million, although I'm sure this guy is not poor for buffs. I'm sure he has them all. That would bring him up to 1.75 million. So now let's look at some other stuff. So that was the power that he had at the time. Those were his defensive buffs, sub-troops. This is the player who was brave enough to attack him, lead a rally against him, BK the Terrible. I like the name. BK the Terrible is a good one. So that is him at 11.4 billion. Now, this is from the same battlefield 4 months ago. This was a ground attack that Sir Philip launched. So over 1,100% ground attack, 929 ground defense, and 912 ground HP. This is absolutely insane how good it is. He over 1,100 ground attack. I said at the time, these are screenshots, captures from my live stream when I streamed Sir Philip in the fourth All-Stars. I said at the time, this is a higher attack than most people's archers. And ground are not supposed to have that high of an attack. But he obviously is something special. Now, this was a rumor I did not believe. I have been able to obtain screenshots of Sir Phillips's subsidies. He has all K35 subsidies. Some people don't even have K35 cities. Some people only get them from buying it from someone else or someone giving them one. But he has his subsidies at 35, and you could look. All gold. Japan, Japan, Arab, Japan. Then purple. Japan, 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 Japan. Blue, blue, blue. All 35. And this is a shot of the troops he gets inside of those subsidies. So you could see 90,000 T14s. And that's one city, right? So this is almost 300,000. This is 275,000 extra T14s going into battle. And multiply that by every single city. Another thing that's just incredible is look at these troop training speeds. 500%. Now, if I go into one of my subsidies, I'm just going to look and see if I have any rallies to join. So if I go into one of my subsidies, I'm just going to heal quickly, ask for help, and let's see what type of troop training speed I have. I'm only at 270%. Now I'm going to trade the general. And this is one of my top generals. This is a max general. 1,400 levels for everything as a dragon. And he's only coming in at 360% troop training speed. So what that tells me is that Sir Philip has actually refined the gear for his subgenerals and put training speed on it. So most people have their gear like this. Absolutely no refines on the subsidies. Maybe they do one and just do one, and whatever happens happens. But he has perfected the training speed on his subsidies as well. He's at least hit go on a few items and got about 20% 4 or 5 times to be able to get, or 7 8 times to be able to get those levels. So once again, we will just take a look at Sir Philip. And sir, we all salute you. You are the greatest thing in all of Evony. There are many rumors about him. I wish that someone would come out and tell us about him. Some people think it's a developer. Some people think it's some just obscenely rich guy in England who loves the royal family, possibly in the royal family, who loves Evony. We have no idea. I'd love to know more about this guy's life and how much he has spent. People have estimated $500,000 in the first year. Some people have laughed at that and said it's easily double or triple that to be able to speed up those subsidies. Because if you look at the subsidies, if you just look at my top one here, this is my home city. 10 days for rally spot 23 to begin. And I'll unlock a building here just to... no, I won't. I feel like that's just such a waste. All right, I'll do it. Let's see how long it takes. See, 20 days for barracks. And if I don't do that, each one of these is going to be 20 days. So he's speeding up his subsidies. That's how good this guy is at the game. Or, I'm sorry, how much he cares about the game and how advanced he is on everybody. One of our top players on the server, actually, War, he said after 5 years playing, his top subsidy is only level 25 with no speed ups. But still, no, I bet no one in all of Evony has a K35 subsidy, and this guy has 9 of them. So Sir Philip is the gold standard right now in Evony. So just to look over this stuff again, just to let this all sink in. 500% training speed, almost 300,000 T14s in each subsidy. These are his subsidies, all K35s. His ground attack, over 1,100%. He was 11 billion 4 months ago. Now he's 18 billion. That's how much power he brings into a battle with a subsidy. 55 million extra power to strike with. And his his defensive buffs, which I am certain this is not as good as they get. This was late in Battlefield. This was like 10 minutes left. And I bet he just didn't change any monarch gear, nothing. Just took it and just saw what happened. I wouldn't even be surprised if he lowered some stuff and played around with gear and just wanted to encourage a hit against him. But so once again, this was just a in-depth profile on Sir Philip. If anyone, and let's look at the server he's on actually. So he's on server 440, and he is obviously the king, and I don't see anyone else being king anytime soon unless he lets them. So if anyone else has any other players who they think are impressive like this guy, I would love to see it. Some screenshots. Let me know if you have anyone else who has some sort of impressive stats or resume like Sir Philip. And once again, this is server 440, so they are less than a year old, maybe 1 year maximum. So I remember I first heard about Sir Phillips. 3 months old, he was about 4 billion. And people tracked him every week and would share screenshots of him or his location, and everybody would just look at him and watch him. And yeah, he's really grown. And don't know how anybody could ever defeat him. He may go down in history and surpass Pennywise as the greatest Evony player of all time if he hasn't already. So once again, this is Genghis on server 440 today. Like, subscribe, leave a comment.